we're joined by Shiksha Aurora, who will be helping me in taking you through that particular part of the show. Shiksha.
All right, of course, then we'll be taking you through what is making headlines when it comes to the local news updates. And right now, Kenya Revenue Authority has cleared betting firm SportPesa, paving the way for the company to get back its trading license. And SportPesa will now have to apply for a new license to be issued by the Betting Control and Licensing Board. And on Tuesday, the firm said that it had positive engagement with the government and it was optimistic of resuming business soon. The government has revoked SportPesa's license in July on grounds that the company had failed to meet its tax obligations, and SportPesa in August had cancelled all local sponsorships and advertisements, citing an unfavorable business environment. However, the company has now said it is pleased with its management and engagement with government agencies, and the gaming firm was among the 27 affected by the government's decision to cancel operating licenses and close pay bill numbers. So good news for SportPesa indeed after all.
That's true, Shiksha. And moving on is that former football star McDonald Mariga's candidature for the Kibra by-election has been challenged by a member of the Jubilee Party. One of the aspirants on Tuesday appealed the decision by the party's National Election Board to give Mariga the Jubilee ticket, terming it unfair, deceptive and shrouded in secrecy, in addition to being in contravention of the Jubilee Party's constitution. In his appeal against Mariga's nomination, Maurice Peter Kenyanjui, who also sought to fly the Jubilee flag, also alluded to claims that Mariga is not a registered voter. It is understood that Mariga is being fronted by Deputy President William Ruto against the will of some Jubilee leaders.
Right, and still on what is making headlines in the world of politics. Meanwhile, ODM leader Raila Odinga is tomorrow going to be chairing a crucial meeting with the party's top decision-making organ to decide on the mode for nomination of the Kibra by-election. The crunch talks come amidst reports that the meeting has been convened to endorse consensus as the mode of nomination. The party's National Elections Board has already cleared 11 candidates for the anticipated primaries, although the party hierarchy is said to be cautious on using the universal suffrage mode. The nomination was initially planned for the 31st of August, but was pushed forward to 7th of September due to lack of security.
Absolutely, and of course they alluded to the fact that a majority of law enforcement agencies, and key among them the police, were monitoring the just concluded census process, and therefore they moved that exercise to this week. It will be interesting to see what comes forth from this particular story, owing to the fact that, of course, Kibra has been a stronghold for the ODM party for quite a long time.
Indeed. And for now, of course, we'll also be telling you on what is making headlines when it comes to the international front. We've seen that Hurricane Dorian has at least 7 people who've confirmed to have died in the Bahamas after Hurricane Dorian wreaked havoc on the island nation. Now, Prime Minister Hubert Minnis has said the country can expect more deaths and said parts of the Abaco Islands have been decimated by the storm. The hurricane has finally moved away from the Bahamas after causing widespread destruction. Latest reports say the storm is moving parallel to the coast of Florida, and although Hurricane Dorian has weakened to a Category 2 storm, it has grown larger in area and has maximum sustained winds of 110 miles per hour, which equates to 177 kilometers per hour.
Still a story that has been developing for the better part of this week.
Indeed.
And there you have a new angle to it. Now, the next story is from the international scene, but closer home right here in South Africa, where Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari's government Tuesday summoned South Africa's envoy and said it would dispatch a delegation to Pretoria to express deep concern over attacks on Nigerians in a wave of xenophobic violence. The decision came after mobs descending on business hubs and townships in various parts of South Africa, looting dozens of shops and torching trucks driven by foreigners in a surge of anti-migrant sentiments. Now, Buhari has noted with deep concern reported attacks on Nigerian citizens and property in South Africa since August 29th this year. His presidency said in a statement, and I quote, the president, where he ordered rather the foreign minister to summon the South African envoy to get a brief on the situation, express Nigeria's displeasure and get guarantees for the safety of its citizens and their property.
And of course, still talking about the safety of its citizens and the property, Kenyan citizens have also been affected in these attacks against foreigners in South Africa. Moving on to what's happening in Britain, where Johnson suffers major defeat, and Prime Minister Boris Johnson has raised the prospect of a snap election on Tuesday after he suffered a major parliamentary defeat over his Brexit strategy that could delay Britain's exit from the European Union. Now, just 6 weeks after taking office, the Conservative leader was hit by a huge rebellion among his own MPs that leaves him without a working majority in the House of Commons as he looks to take Britain out of the EU on the 31st of October. Now, 21 Conservatives joined opposition MPs to begin the process of drafting legislation that could stop a no-deal exit by delaying the departure date by 3 months. The Prime Minister had earlier warned the rebels who voted against him would be expelled from the party, while one other Conservative, that's former Minister Philip Lee, dramatically defected to the pro-European Liberal Democrats. And addressing braying MPs immediately after the vote, in which the government was defeated by 328 votes to 301, Johnson said he had no option but to move to call an early general election.
And let's hope that Boris does not suffer the fate of his two predecessors, and hope that this issue will not actually cost him his job. Now, moving on is that a 14-year-old boy in the U.S. state of Alabama has confessed to killing 5 members of his own family. Now, those killed were the boy's father, his stepmother, and siblings. 3 were found dead at the scene, while the other 2 died in hospital, and police now say the boy is cooperating with officials, where there is no indication so far on any motive or how he obtained the weapon used, that is a 9mm handgun. The shooting happened late Monday, and according to investigators, the boy initially called police to say he had heard gunfire coming from his family home. He later confessed to the attack, and gun violence is common in the U.S. According to one monitoring site, there has been almost 300 mass shootings this year alone.
An extremely unfortunate series of events. Of course, this brings us back to the question of stricter gun laws. The conversation has been going on for quite some time now, really, after the wake of the series of events that we've been seeing happening in the US regarding gun shootings
and gun violence.
Indeed.
And right about now, we'd like to bring you closer home and link up with our reporters who will be telling us more on what is happening on the ground. And right about now, we've got our reporter Anders Ihachi, and once you hear his name, definitely has got to be politics. Anders, what do you have for us right about now from the Ford Kenya headquarters?
A very good morning, Njoroge and Shiksha, back in studio. We are here at the Ford Kenya party headquarters here in Nairobi, where the party is having a strategic meeting regarding the Kibra by-elections after unveiling the aspirant engineer engineer Butichi, who will be vying for that seat under the Ford Kenya ticket, among other aspirants from other parties who have been unveiled during the week, like Jubilee unveiled footballer McDonald Mariga on Tuesday, and also ANC party unveiled Eliud Owalo last week. So we're joining him here so that he can give us some insights on why he decided to go for this Kibra seat under the Ford Kenya ticket. Engineer Butichi, maybe you tell viewers and especially the people of Kibra, why did you decide to go for this seat?
I've been to Kibera. I was born in Kibera, and along the way I've listened to the mamambogas. I've listened to the young men. I've listened to all those people who do casual jobs. and their cry is that they need change. And that change cannot come outside Kibera. It must be brought by the people living within Kibera. An example, the recent MP, the one who passed on, he was a resident in Kibera, and people can actually see what he has done for the last 7 years. So the cry in Kibera is that we need somebody who is passionate about the issues affecting residents of Kibera. One of it is issues to do with education. Education was put as a forefront pillar in Ken Okoth's programs. And this is the most important thing that we need to do as people of Kibera, issues to do with the education of the children. Number two is an issue to do with sanitation. These are issues which other candidates cannot identify themselves with. They cannot contemplate that in Kibera we still have issues to do with sanitation. Number three is about water. For a long time, Kibera residents have not been getting water properly because people spend a lot of money on water. These are the three issues that I want to look at. And then number four, being an engineer, civil engineer, I also want to look at infrastructure. Infrastructure, we're talking about roads within Kibera, leading to various villages. Despite the fact that we have the main road that passes there, we still have to have roads that go inroads into the villages. So, me compared to the other contestants, what have they done in Kibera? We have people who have come up, people like Owalo, people like Mariga. They need to identify themselves with Kibera, but they cannot. So I am standing because I've listened to the cries of the people of Kibera, the ones who reside in Kibera, the ones who were born in Kibera. And I've taken that decision to contest on the ticket of Ford Kenya.
Maybe people asking why is NASA, maybe the NASA affiliate parties, each party is now fielding a candidate in Kibera. Why couldn't you go for a joint maybe aspirant to face off with the other aspirant from other parties who are not affiliate for NASA?
Vying in Kibera is independent because this is democracy. And we in NASA, even in the last election, we were able to field candidates in various areas competing, internal competition. So there's no issue of saying that we as NASA, because our brothers in ODM, our brothers in NC, they have their own candidates. The fact that we've not sat down and our party leader, Ford Kenya party leader, has been convening meetings from time to time to try and bring together the NASA leadership, but they have refused. So we've said, we as Ford Kenya, we are formidable and we are going into this thing to win, not to lose.
People are also saying that Kibera is really strongly an ODM regional or constituency. Do you believe that you'll be beating the ODM candidate now? They'll be unveiling their candidate during the nominations on Saturday.
That is a fallacy. It's not true. In Kibera, we have various parties, and Ford Kenya is a very strong political party in Kibera. What we've been witnessing for the last so many years is an issue of chronism, is an issue of isolation of other people. But Ford Kenya is going to bring on board everybody, right from the Masais, Kambas, Kalenjins, Luyas, Luos. Everybody will feel accommodated in Ford Kenya. Because what has been happening is there is that fallacy of isolation within Kibera so that certain people benefit, not even the tribe itself, but certain individual personalities who have been benefiting from the leadership of Kibera. So this time around we are saying that Ford Kenya is going to accommodate everybody, be it from Nyanza, from Western, Coast, Central, everywhere. We are going to accommodate everybody and have an open door policy for everybody.
Thank you very much. Njoroge, that has been Engineer Samson Butichi, who is vying under the Ford Kenya ticket for the Kibera by-election, which will be on the 7th of November. He has just been giving quite a number of issues that he'll be addressing if he's elected by the people of Kibera. And we understand that the other parties, including Jubilee, ANC, and even MDG, have already unveiled their candidates, as I pointed out earlier. We're just waiting for this Saturday to see whether ODM, which is being perceived as a dominant party in Kibera, will be conducting its nominations to unveil its aspirant before the aspirants are vetted by IEBC, and then they're declared to be candidates in the race for the 7th of November by election in Kibera. Njoroge.
Thank you so much, Anders Ihachi, for that particular update from the Ford Kenya party headquarters. And remember, this story has seen quite a twist in terms of its developing over time. And key among them is that appeal that has been launched by Maurice Kenyanjui in as far as who will bear the flag for the Jubilee Party. Of course, making us remember, Shiksha, the whole case around Diana Kethi Kilonzo versus the IEBC, when the prior wanted to replace the late Mutula Kilonzo as Makueni County Senator. And there was the whole issue of whether or not she is a resident in Makueni, whether she's even a registered voter in Makueni. So let's see how this particular issue will pan out, especially when it comes to the candidature of MacDonald Mariga, him bearing the flag of Jubilee Party. Shiksha.
Right, of course, and as we continue to cover that story and many more right here on K24 Daily Brief, we'll be taking you to Kisumu County, where we've got our reporter Baraka Karama on standby, and he's going to be giving us an update on the current situation that is being experienced by Kisumu County Referral Hospital, where they are facing an acute shortage of drugs. So Baraka, what exactly is the situation as we speak?
Shisha, in regards to that particular story, we are still waiting for an official address by the CEC in charge of health. And of course, we were told that they're still locked up in a meeting, and we'll be getting hold of them just to react on that particular issue of the brief that had already outlined earlier. But right now, like remember in part of my brief, I'd mentioned that the county governor for Kakamega, Wycliffe Ambeso Paranya, was supposed to receive the special report from that task force that he formed to look into the problems facing the giant Mumias sugar factory. Remember, there's been various issues affecting that particular factory, and because of that, the county government of Kakamega, led by the governor Wycliffe Paranya, did form a special task force just to try and look into the problems and maybe propose possible solutions as a way of trying to revive that particular factory. And that function currently is underway in Kakamega. And remember, the Kenya Sugarcane Growers Association, which is one of the stakeholders of that particular industry, has boycotted that particular event. And joining me on set is the leadership of that particular association, just to try and give us their opinion first in regards to the official launch of that particular report that is supposed to be received today by the county governor for Kakamega, Wycliffe Paranya. Just welcome. Of course, we'd like to kindly introduce yourself, and of course we'd like to know why have you boycotted that particular event in Kakamega.
My name is Richard Uchingo Gendo. I'm the General Secretary of Kenya Sugarcane Growers Association.
Yes.
We see no value in attending an event that has been convened in Mumias by the governor of Kakamega County, yes, Honorable Wycliffe Paranya, yes, for the simple reason that the president gave him a job, yes, to do a task force for the whole industry. Yes. He was co-chairing with the cabinet secretary for agriculture. Up to now, we have not seen them present that particular report to the president. Yes. And if my memory serves me right, yes, this is the second task force, yes, that has been formed in the tenure of Governor Paranya, yes, to look into the problems of the sugar industry. Yes. So my take is this is a task force investigating why the recommendations of the first task force, yes, was not implemented. Yes. And more so, I also tend to feel that it is it looks like a personal vendetta and witch hunt, yes, against a section of leaders in Western Kenya, yes, maybe to drive a certain narrative and agenda.
Okay, like you had some 15 names. Of course, the committee is proposing the prosecution of 15 individuals as far as the investigation that they did is concerned.
Why this drama? Yeah. I ask myself, if you went, investigated, found so-and-so has done what, why don't you present his name to the public so that the public knows? Yes. Unless you are driving an agenda your own agenda against certain individuals, it will not help us as an industry. If somebody A stole this, why don't you say so-and-so stole from the company through this means? Yes. Instead of presenting, say, 15 names, what if the DCI rejects?
Yes.
I mean, this is skullduggery.
Okay. Do you think that move is likely to offer solution in reviving the collapsed Mumias sugar factory and maybe other factories within this particular region?
Talking will not help Mumias.
Yes.
We as farmers had our own task force.
Yes.
We put in clear recommendations on what should be done. Public, no witch hunt, clear set of rules that should be followed.
Yes.
To revive Mumias. Unfortunately, as the leadership of this country sometimes behaves,
Yes.
is like going around in circles, trying to prove a point that they are working, but they're actually not working. It is my singular belief that if we want to help Mumias, then we should look at the bigger picture, because Mumias is not trading in Kakamega County. Yeah. Mumias is a company that belongs to the people of this republic. It is trading in Kenya, in East Africa, in Africa, and the world, in the sugar economy.
Yes.
So you cannot reduce it to a village economy.
Yes.
And so it defeats the whole purpose.
Yes.
What Mumias needs are clear-cut rules. Some of the issues we have clearly addressed are imports. Imports are hurting the industry. Imports are hurting each and every miller, yes, whether government-owned or private. And if we start from what you call low-hanging fruits, yes, then we will achieve things that will revive the industry. Yes. But as it is, I can tell you again that it's political skullduggery. Yes. And he should first present to the president, yes, the job he was given to do, which is the sugar task force report, government. Yes. We have presented ours. What is in it that they fear to give it to the president? What opinions do they have, either personal or otherwise, yes, that make it untenable? And this also goes to the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture. With all due respect, Mheshimiwa Mwangi Kiunjuri, it is time to pack up and go. The farmers of this country are tired of crying. Sugarcane farmers are crying. Maize farmers are crying. Milk farmers are crying. Even you have seen the other day, you saw the other day the Right Honorable Prime Minister going to Galana Kulalu, yes, to do Mwangi Kiunjuri's work. Yes. I think if I was him, I would just resign immediately. Okay. Thank you.
That was the Secretary General for the Kenya Sugarcane Growers Association. Of course, like I mentioned, they've boycotted that particular ceremony where the Kakamega County Governor was supposed to receive a special report from the task force that he had formed to look into the plight and problems facing Mumias Sugar Factory. Like he also mentioned that they're calling upon the president, of course, to look at the bigger picture by checking into the deliberations that were proposed by the committee that was formed to look into the plight of the cane farmers countrywide. So we'll be getting hold of the CEC in charge of health on that particular story. Like I mentioned earlier, the shortage of drugs in Kisumu, and of course we'll be able to give you an up-to-date information as far as that particular bit is concerned. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Baraka Karama, for that update, telling us what exactly is going on in Kisumu. A number of things happening right there. So yes, beehive of activities from Kisumu County. And of course, we'll definitely be giving you more stories and the further developments on those stories as soon as they unfold right here on K24 Daily Brief.
Absolutely, Shiksha. And happening in Parliament today, two key events: the meeting between Cabinet Secretary Lands and the Committee on Lands of the National Assembly, together with a press briefing by Cheragany Member of Parliament, that is Joshua Kutuny, on the ongoing Mau evictions. And there it is. So let's get to listening to what Joshua Kutuny is saying.
Kule ndani ya Mau, wengi wamezungumzia kwamba hii huenda ikazamisha uhusiano ya wale waliotengeneza Jubilee isiposhughulikiwa kimakini sana ili swala la Mau. Mimi nakubali ndio huenda labda ikaleta utata ama labda ikaleta sintofahamu ndani ya Jubilee. Nakubali. Lakini kabla ya kwanza hatujakubaliana kwamba itazamisha uhusiano njema tumekuwa naye ndani ya Jubilee. Tuzungumze, tuulizane maswali. Kama Jubilee ilitengenezwa na vikundi viwili, kikundi kimoja kiongezwa na Uhuru Kenyatta, ilikuja na matatizo yake ya wakulima wa kahawa na wafanyabiashara wa biashara ndogo ndogo. Kikundi kingine kikiongozwa na Ruto ilikuja na matatizo yao ya Mau na matatizo ya wakulima wa mahindi. Nimemuona Uhuru akirauka mapema sana, akienda hapa Nyamakima kushughulikia matatizo ya wafanyabiashara wadogo wadogo. Na sasa suluhu imepatikana. Nimeona wameweka kitita bilioni 3 ya kushughulikia kahawa. Mimi nataka kumuuliza Ruto, mimi nakuuliza, tangu lini umewahi rauka mapema kabla wewe kuchukua kiamsha kinywa ukaenda Mau ukajulia hali wale wanyonge wanaonyeshewa? Tangu lini wewe ukashughulikia matatizo ya wakulima wa mahindi, ama utangoja wafanya maandamano? Kama Uhuru yashughulikia huko, wewe shughulikia matatizo ya hao watu. Kwa sababu kabla hatujazungumzia siasa ya taifa, lazima tuzungumzie matatizo ya watu mahali unakotoka. Mwisho mimi nataka kusema, viongozi wanaozungumza kwa sasa na kufanya maandamano na matatizo hayo, wengi wanajua kwamba tuko na nafasi ndani ya serikali hii. Juhudi gani wamechukua kuzungumza na serikali kutatua tatizo hili? Mimi ninaona kwamba ni siasa inawekwa ili watu wajaribu kuitumia mwaka wa 2022. Mtu akisema kwamba Uhuru Kenyatta hawezi kutoa ardhi yake, hawezi kuwapatia wale watu. Kila ambacho tunataka kuuliza viongozi wa Rift Valley, tunaosikia kila siku wamenunua ekari 1000 Eldoret, wamenunua kule Mara, wamenunua ekari 2000, wamekwenda kule Laikipia wamechukua ekari 1013. Kama wakati wewe unapojitajirisha, hakikisha kwamba maisha ya watu wako pia inaimarika. Kwa hivyo mimi ninataka kuomba, michakata hii inapoendelea kuzungumziwa na mjadala hii ikiendelea kusheheni, mimi nataka kuomba serikali kwamba wale watu wa Mau waliwapigia kura hawakuwa na nia mbaya, walitarajia mema kutoka kwenu. Sidisheni kufurushwa kwa watu kutoka msitu wa Mau. Ipatieni nafasi mazungumzo. Ninaomba serikali iweze kuondoa mapolisi ambao wako kule, na hatua yoyote ya kufurusha wananchi iweze kusimamishwa. Mazungumzo ikuweko, serikali iweze kutafuta pesa, iweze kutafutia hao wananchi sehemu badala, wataondoka Mau, hawana tatizo yoyote. Hayo ndio mimi nataka kuzungumzia kwa leo. Labda maswali? Is anybody with a question?
Right, that is Joshua Kutuny, the Cherangany Member of Parliament, and he's addressing the whole political angle to the Mau evictions. Indeed. Whether or not it will cost Jubilee Party politically. Of course, this question is being informed by the events of 2013, where political pundits argue that the Mau question could have costed the political fortunes of the former Prime Minister, that is Raila Amolo Odinga, in 2013, and there are those that believe that conversation could have contributed to the fallout he had with the Rift Valley region in 2013.
All right, of course, we'll be covering that and much more right here on the Daily Brief when we return. But for now, it's time for a short break. We'll be right back.
Absolutely.